minutes and talk to you Chevy Caprice owners out there. I got a request this morning, an email in regards to a certain owner that bought himself a Caprice 2 years ago. Temperature gauge doesn't work. Well, it always stays at 40 degrees, so I'm guessing you're a Canadian resident because my car is also in Celsius. If yours was in Fahrenheit, there'd be different numbers showing here. So what I'm going to do is take a few minutes and discuss what could be the problem. Don't automatically just go to your auto parts store and go out and buy yourself a coolant temperature sensor. That might not be the cause at all. Yes, coolant temperature sensors do go, but it doesn't necessarily mean that yours is done. How come my gauge ain't working? First, what you're going to want to do is you're going to pop your hood here, and there's your coolant temperature sensor, way tucked in down there. It's connected to your thermostat housing. Okay, it's roughly $40 part. What you're going to want to do is not even look at that. Stay the hell away from it. That more than likely isn't what's causing your gauge not to work. Okay, what you're going to want to do is come over here. See all your spark plugs? Okay. Look at this. I bet you some of you out there had no idea that this wire even existed, or it was even there. It's the most overlooked thing there is on a vehicle, especially a Chevy Caprice. You know, people think the gauge doesn't work, so they go out and buy a $40 coolant temperature sensor, figuring that's going to fix the problem, and then all of a sudden, oh, what the hell? No, it didn't fix the problem. Under there, it has got to connect to this. Now, it's in a very tight spot, so it is going to be very, very difficult to find. It connects to that, and that is the reason why most Chevrolet vehicles, especially the Caprice Classic, people have problems with the gauge. They buy a vehicle and the gauge doesn't work. They don't even think about this wire. They don't even know it's there, okay, unless they change the plugs. Now, some people have changed spark plugs on a 305, 350, and they see this wire and they're like, what the hell is it for? Or whatever, we just plug it back in, right? It's a ground wire. You need this wire attached here, just like so. And if your gauge works half the time, but then goes right back down to the cold area, usually it stays at 40 degrees, but if it does work the odd time, or it gets really, it flutters, the gauge flutters all over the place and acts all retarded. Well, what I do personally is take yourself, what did I do with it? Take yourself a little bottle brush like this one here. You can even spray some battery terminal cleaner or whatever on it. Just make sure that's nice and clean. You know, if you undercoat your vehicle with oil every year, you know, there's a good chance this little pigtail is going to get all gummed up with crap and nonsense, right? You know, just take a little brush and make sure it's all cleaned off, and you know, that's all you have to do here. See? That pigtail, the end of the connector, the exhaust manifold is hot. Be careful when you're doing that, especially if you just drove the car. But see, it's all corroded and it just doesn't look all that healthy. Well, you're not going to get a good connection with that. So I'm going to clean that up, plug her back in, and your gauge will work. So, little information for you lads. Ow, that was hot. If you own a Caprice, and this message goes to the gentleman who sent me the email. I don't think you have a YouTube account, and I don't think you're a subscriber, but anyway, this goes to you. So, you know, just make sure that this is clean and make sure it's connected, because if it's unplugged or if the pigtail doesn't even exist, well, that's part of your problem right there. Okay, so once you're done with that, like I say, you can use a terminal cleaner, or like I have a can of battery terminal cleaner. I just spray on and, you know, work it in. Let it dry and just plug it back in. Just like so. That's why your coolant gauge doesn't work. Oh look, mine works. So there you go. A little bit of information for anybody out there who owns a Caprice Classic, and especially the late model Caprices where they actually have a temperature gauge. I know the Brohams had it. You know, just make sure it's cleaned up, and because you want to make sure your gauge works, especially if like we get hot summers here, so you know we definitely want the gauge to work, especially if you usually keep up with your air conditioning and keep it charged up, or if you drive in hilly areas where there's a lot of hills and steep upgrades and what have you. You definitely want your coolant gauge to work, because there was a man about 4 years ago now that had a Caprice, same year, just like mine, except his was gray. His coolant gauge did not work. His temperature gauge didn't work. Anyway, the car overheated and caught fire and burned right to the damn ground. Okay, so when I heard that, I said to myself, coolant gauge must work at all times. If it doesn't work, the car is parked. It's an essential gauge that has to work. Okay, same with your volt gauge and your fuel gauge. Speedometer, well, the cops usually keep you informed about that. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to some of you out there. Catch you right here next weekend. Don't forget about our promotional giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to TYC and you could be the lucky winner.